Hello everyone. I got my 2000% Amascut kill today in the first week, and I did so as a necromancy base for the kill. I haven't seen a whole lot of 2K base guides out there, so I figured I am going to watch back my kill and talk over it, kind of like a spoken walkthrough guide that I usually do for day of release stuff, but this one I'll be pausing as there's a lot to explain, and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So first things first, we get into the kill here, wait for my teammates to join. Once everyone is in, I've been starting with activating my pocket slot as well as casting darkness to kind of indicate to the team that I will be starting my pre-build. The frame rate looks terrible right now because I was tabbed out of RuneScape and my background FPS is 5. Um, so the teammates will be joining here in a moment. I can't really click around too much in this bar because I was streaming for 2.5 hours, but they will be joining here in a second. I'm going to lower the stream audio quite a bit so it doesn't get confusing whether I'm talking in the stream or in the video, but hopefully it's still loud enough that you can hear boss cues and anything else like that. Alright, so I'm going to start with my Book in Darkness, my Overload Conjure, Extend, do my Haunt, and then I'm going to do an Invoke and a Lord of Bones. Now when I surge in, I am equipping a main hand melee weapon and a Statius Warhammer EOF. I am target cycling the boss, EOF specking, and then I am re-equipping my Necro and throwing a Death Skulls, all right there in the opening sequence. Once I get to my spot over here, which is important, you either want to stand as base all the way to the far east or all the way to the far west, or I did those backwards, but you get the idea, and then have the team stand on the opposite side. I'll explain why in just a second. So you get here, you want to, I activate Excal, throw down a Prism for my Hellhound. I'm not really focusing too much on DPS really ever in the fight outside of P2, P4, P5, P6, and P7, so I guess some. But P1 and 3 is mainly just survive. So, um, on this first, I call it a triple tap of autos that are different styles. What I end up doing is I reflect right beforehand, then I anticipate, and there's a lot of tips on how this works. So her voice line also matches the starting style of the hit, and then it will always cycle within the same styles. So this looks terrible, but you can get an idea here. If she starts on Grovel with Mage, it's going to go Mage, Melee, Range. She says Pathetic, it's going to go Melee, Range, Mage. She says Weak, it's going to go Range, Mage, Melee. That is very consistent and how it always works. Um, so right after these three, you notice I messed up that. It was very embarrassing. Very first mechanic, but I promise the rest goes pretty well. Right after that, she also does the flurry of autos, which is going to be Mage, Mage, and then Mage Melee. And you want to swap to the alternate style for the last hit on any of those flurry type mechanics. So, do whatever you got to do here. I then debill for the next flurry that happens right here. And while I am debilled, I pop my Immort. That is for the Kneel spec. So I stay pretty low HP intentionally, because I know I'm just going to get immorted anyway. Don't want to waste food. I pre-spellbook swap to Lunars right before the Kneel, and you can also swap to Soul Split right before it as well. Because what I end up doing is as soon as I get immorted, I Disruption Shield, and then I Soul Split, and then I try to heal back as much as possible. If she pops your Disruption Shield on the first auto, use Res. If she doesn't, feel free to keep Soul Splitting. So there you'll see I Res, and then she goes right into another Flurry. So I'm also Spectral Shield swapping for every Flurry. It just makes everything a whole lot more survivable. In order to upkeep your prayer, I use both Penance and also Penance Powder, just as a general note. You want to Devo, switch to the correct prayer here. take those hits, swap back to the correct style, and then you can debil or reflect and do another anticipate for the next set of triple taps. That one's going to be range, mage, melee. And then it goes right into a flurry. So be ready for that too. That's what you want to debil or reflect as the triple taps happening. Stay alive as best you can here. And then just hop on the gorilla. So I was helping out on the west side for these kills. So you will see that I help out on the west gorilla, the west crocodile. This is also a great POV because the west side got the Amascut's burden. So you see me take it from my teammate here, and then I pass it to my teammate inside here. I help on the chain warden, and then I leave. I run across, I was kind of low HP, so I just kind of soul split up on Amascut a little bit. I threw a bloat on there, had my conjures going, and then I get ready to click the 3 chains for the opposite statue. After I click the 3 chains, I drop a prism for my teammates to use, get back over to the other one, pop those 3 chains as well. Once the 3rd chain for the Krondus statue dies, the crocs respawn. So you want to start making your way north, dodging the soul wave lines, and head to the croc. If you go melee distance of him, he will melee instead of range. So it can be a little easier if you're also tanking these ox to go melee distance so you're not having to pray flick the range hits as well. I generally tell my teams that everyone after this should stand underneath the boss so you can utilize AoEs to kill off the remaining ox. It's also nice for necromancy. You can like threads a soul sap off of them to get a bunch of souls back, or you can do spectral scythes if there's a ton of them. Here, I usually just throw a Death Skull, a Split Soul, I do a Omniguard spec, Empowered Auto, Finger, Empowered Auto, Finger, Empowered Auto, Touch, Empowered Auto, and then I try to get a tier 90 spec in there too. If your Dren's low, you can always APOT going into P3, but P3 is where things get spicy for the base. It is going to start with a flurry. I myself can never remember what style the boss left off at when she starts the flurry on P3. So you'll see I will not only reflect, I will also res, because I can very quickly see by her animation what style it's going to be, and swap if I need to. Then, picking up from there, you want to use Anticipate, do this, and then after the next couple of autos, also use like a debil or a reflect, whichever you didn't use for the next flurry of autos, and get your immort up. So I am having my team deal with scarabs. I've heard other people also just have the base cade the scarabs. They might or might not request that everyone death dot on the base for the kneel spec. I personally find it easiest to immort kneel and have my team deal with scarabs, but to each their own. So, when we talk about the immort, this is kind of complex here. So, same idea as last time. When she's about to kneel, you can throw on Soul Split if you want, you don't have to. Pre-spellbook swap, and then Disruption Shield. Now, if you're immorting the kneel, you want to stand in the middle section. Definitely make sure you're standing in the middle section when she says bend the knee. So, when you get killed, it's going to be right before this Soulfire wave completes. That's okay. You want to stay here, because the invulnerability period of Immort will block this hit. So, you can take it. You can also take the next one. Unfortunately, my Hellhound died here. I was not being good about upkeeping my Prism. If you're good about upkeeping your Prism, that's not a problem, but definitely always bring a spare pouch just in case. After you get immorted, spam that Disruption Shield, and this is also where I just chug food. You don't really need food the whole rest of the kill, so after both of the bend the knees, I suggest just chugging to get back up to full ASAP, and throw on that Spectral Spirit Shield after the immort as well. I signed there because I was not paying close enough attention to my own advice. and I also struggled trying to get my Hellhound back up. You want to pray against the right style and use Devo. If things go poorly, you might need to limitless that Devo, as it happened for me. Other than that, just stay in the thick of things. Make sure you're spectral shield swapping for the flurries. Make sure you're getting your prey flicks down. Anticipate this triple tap. You can throw a debil or a reflect up there because after these 3 autos, you're going to get the final flurry of P3. Now you'll notice when you're solo basing, you also get this debuff on your debuff bar here. That increases all damage taken by 15%, and it stacks as you base in P1 and P3. So the ending flurries and the ending autos are going to hit a lot harder than at the beginning of those phases. So just keep that in mind and have defenses at the ready, and just, know that that's coming, especially for reses and other things. Now in this one, I'm hitting an invoke death. I'm letting my teammate aggro the gorilla because I'm scared. And then I hit it with an auto to make sure that it gets invoked. At the same time, I'm using threads, and I'm going to do my volley of souls as the scarabs come up. That makes it so that my teammates or myself can instantly grab a scarab and throw it on the gorilla and take him out as soon as possible, because time is of the essence. Now I'm going to continue killing scarabs, grabbing them, throwing them in for my teammates here on the west side. Make sure you're keeping track of how many you've thrown in. You want to get 4, but in case your teammates miss one, it's not a bad idea to throw 5 as well. After you finish your set, you can also start killing scarabs and chucking them into the east side. There's no range on how far you can throw them, so just try to help as much as you can. And then start clicking chains. You want to keep melee prey up the whole time here. You're going to get a lot of ox on you, and I mean like a lot. So reflex not a bad idea, devotion's a good idea. When you devotion, it's an even better idea to use spectral sights to kill some ox to then extend your devotion. I did not do that here, but depending on how the phases go, I sometimes add that to my arsenal. Dodge the Soulfire specs. This is a great example of when I talked about standing underneath the boss to finish off remaining ox, because you see I right click him at one point, there's a ton of them. So, especially if the phases take longer, like we got that one pretty quickly, all things considered, you can go under the boss, do some spectral sights to take him out. Make sure you're doing a volley beforehand so you can get free soul stacks back from the sides. And then I'm doing the same thing here, Death Skull, Split Soul, and then Omni, Empowered Auto Finger, all that good stuff. If you are Necro basing, I forgot to do it here. The 4th Conjure definitely gets 25 stacks in this phase. So if you want to command that guy for some free damage, more power to you. In this one, you can actually get pretty low on Adren, and then use an A-pot to get it back. I already drank my A-pot here, and I am building back up to 100 to cade these explosive scarabs. My job during P5 was to charge the fragments of Temekin. So all things considered, pretty sleeper role for P5. There's not a whole lot you have to do. One thing that I am doing, which I'm going to turn on the kill audio a little higher here. Listen. I actually skipped it by a second. But when the fragment's about 75% charged, I am calling out to the rest of my team to prep their FSOA specs. So that means use Tsunami, use their FSOA, get their Adren up a little bit, because we need to burst DPS during this phase as much as we possibly can. And then when it is fully charged, I am saying reform in 3, 2, 1. I click the thing. And then number 1 priority. Absolutely nothing else matters in this phase other than the called person going in front of Amascut and the rest of the team nuking the Light Stealer Salawas. If you do not deal with the Light Stealers and they reach to Mechan's light in the middle, that is an insta-kill for the team. They charge very quickly, so the only thing you should be worried about every time you reform is taking care of the dogs. Nothing else matters, other than the one person standing in front of Amascut. Take out the light stealers, and then in this section of the phase for each of the fragments, I am doing a split soul death skull, dumping my 5-stack volley if I don't use it on the dogs, and then doing an omni auto, finger auto, touch auto, all that good stuff. Also thrown into tier 90 spec, you can bloat if you need to, and then just keep an eye on the health of the obelisks. If the obelisks are full when she's at her destruction one, you can just kind of leave them, because once she goes back to the north of the arena, they reset and come back down to 30k HP. Now, a tip that I have is when it comes to the green lines coming out of Amascut, they come out depending on which fragments are being charged. So, if Amascut ends her first set of fragments on the east side, you are all probably going to be standing along the east side, meaning that as soon as you get into this phase, it's very likely you're going to start charging the middle east fragment. Stay there if that happens. The same thing happens if she goes west, and then everyone's standing west, and you start charging the middle west fragment. Stay there. Even if you normally go east to west or west to east, adjust for that difference, and it'll make things a lot easier. Whatever side she ended up on.
Yeah.
So here, pretty boring. Just gotta attack the obelisk, charge the fragment. Keep your eye out for any light stealers that sneak past your DPS, like this one right here is approaching the middle. I see that and I go, oh shit, there's a dog coming, so you want to target it and take it out. Tell your team to prep their FSOA specs. Wait for the rest of the charge. Give them a little 3-2-1 cooldown on reform. Click it, and then nuke the dogs. Again, dogs are #1 priority. Do as much damage on a Amascut as you can. Each fragment has their own HP cap. If you reach the HP cap before the final word of her jumping around, she'll skip the rest and go north, except for the last fragment. She always does all of her jumps on the last fragment. I don't know exactly what the HP caps are for all of them, but I do know that it is 1.8 mil for the final one. So that is the goal, is at the end of the last fragment, you want to be at 1.8 mil damage. Now, we had a little bit of an oopsie on this fragment. We got it to about 75%, and then I was getting ready. I called out for everyone to prep their Nami FSOAs, and then you'll see in the middle in just a second, we accidentally left the crack unattended. It jumped through. Oh, wait, no, it's this one coming up right here. Is that a different attempt? Am I tripping? Nah, here it is. And it trails through, absolutely destroys that fragment. Now, unfortunately, everyone listened to me and did their Nami FSOAs, so everyone's Nami FSOAs were on cooldown for this fragment. We decided to wait since nothing else really happens and there's no penalty for doing so, and we did not reform. We just kept killing the light stealer dogs, and we waited like the whole 40 seconds, keeping the obelisks low, killing the light stealers, because it's just too important to have good damage here to lower the HP for the rest of the kill. So we're waiting it out, killing the dogs. The thing has been charged for a while. I'm gonna resummon my conjures here, and then pretty soon people should start Namiing, FSOAing, and then I did the 3-2-1 countdown for the reform. And again, #1 priority, kill the dogs. Every time, kill the dogs. Hop on the boss, dump as much damage as you can. I think the delaying the rest of the kill in order to get everyone's Nami FSOA back was huge because it meant that we actually got really close or like really good progress on the HP cap during the second to last fragment. I think we got it down to around 2.6, which meant that the next fragment we only needed to do 800k to cap it, which with 5 people, not that difficult. So we're going to charge the final obelisk. The outer obelisks, all the way east, all the way west, you only need one person to form that chain. The inner obelisks, you need to make a chain of at least 2 people. When we assign roles for this, we typically say there's going to be 2 people dealing with the dogs, there's going to be 2 people doing the cracks, and the people doing the cracks are going to alternate to form the chain for the inner fragments. I was just charge. That was my whole job. So, very important. So, call it the Nami FSOAs, give a countdown, kill the dogs. And then because our damage was pretty good throughout the fight, and also we took that little delay to get everyone's cooldowns back, we hit the HP cap pretty soon, so I called out to my team to shard the boss, save cooldowns, and build a Dren. Now, if you don't know how the next phase works, one person is selected to gain the Light of Temekin. Only that person can go up on the platforms and jump between platforms. The other persons, or people, need to lower the core and then also stand on the glyphs in order to pause the timer at the top. I will explain what I mean. So, a great piece of tech that I keep forgetting to utilize that I saw from Eva Lucario is if you're necroing, right before she gets to this phase, target an obelisk. When the obelisk goes away, you will lose your target, meaning that you can freely resummon your conjurers. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you just kind of have to sit around and wait to drop combat after 10 seconds, and then you can resummon conjures. So if you can, try to remember to click that obelisk. Otherwise, you can still get him back. It's just a little later. I pre-invoke, throw a Vuln Bomb underneath where the core is going to spawn, and then just do my best to do damage. The way this core works is whatever its HP is, if you take 1/100th of that, that is how much HP this bar is going to charge per tick. So right now it's at 493,000. So this bar is going to go up by 4.9 thousand in that tick. As you see, 4.9 thousand, that was the exact math. Now it's at 4.78, it's going to go by 4.78k, etc. So you want to get this thing low as soon as you can, because it's really going to lower the damage requirement on that bar. The person who was normally doing the glyphs in our teams was the one selected to go up, so I stepped in and took it. Now, I didn't realize until recently, if you're zoomed all the way out on Freedom Camera, you can see the glyphs. I didn't know that until after we did this kill. So, the person up there can call out the glyphs. You can also see them. So dodge these floor tiles, click the Raksha ball things, and then listen to your teammate for whatever glyph you have to stand on. Or if you're good at that, look up here on your own, and you can make this timer pretty trivial. All right. One other thing to explain. These green bars over your HP bars, you see I have one, you'll see that my teammates have one. As those charge up, that is a magic typed damage hit, which is mitigatable with defensives. So if you want to like pop a res or a reflect or something as you get those. Now our strategy for the Shadows of Amascut is to stack everyone underneath the boss. Be careful when doing so, because if you have a bar that's charging over your head, like that one, and if you dive too quickly under the boss, it will hit your team. It's AoE. So if you have a bar, don't dive under immediately. Wait for it to go off, then dive under. As a necromancer here, you want to reflect if you can. Mine was on cooldown. Try to save reflect. Pray melee. The shadows deal melee damage. Then you want to invoke death, threads of fate, and bloat. That'll apply invoke death to all the shadows, and then the bloat will also tick down. So if your teammates are not using necromancy, that means that they can still have death mark applied even if you're not attacking them if they have bloat and invoke death. After that, you're going to do a tier 90 death guard spec with your EOF, preferably at 12 stacks. I didn't have 12. And then if you also have 5 residual souls, dump that volley as well. I was not really able to build stacks at all since I had to be the glyph guy, but normally you can. After all of the shadows get taken out, you can see we do a ton of AoE here. I got chanced really low, so eat up if you need to, use some defensives. After killing all the shadows, Amascut will get stunned and enter her next phase. Now this is when you have to empty this black bar. That is why it's so important to lower the core earlier in the fight. You have to empty the black bar. Otherwise, everyone gets hit for a ton of damage. It is survivable. I have not done it yet. I think if you do like a reflex shield dome, disruption shield, immort, something or other, you can get through it. It might be proportional to how much is left on this bar. I don't really know. But your best bet is to just get the bar down. So A-pot if you need to here. Dump some damage, Death Skull, Split Soul, you're not taking any damage here. Dump all your specs, do your empowered autos, everything you can to get this really low. We got it with some decent time left over, so you can lower from the HP cap until you get into phase 7. And alright, phase 7. Phase 7 is difficult, especially because its difficulty depends on RNG for which statue you get. There might be some mechanic to determine which statue you receive. If there is, I don't know what it is. I don't think anyone knows what it is. So, with your team, decide 4 people that are going to stand in each quadrant. I am doing northwest, so I'm going to head up here. And then you see me right click my statue to make sure I remember which one it is. I suggest that because I'd always forget other than the quadrant that I'm in. She will call out the name of a statue. In this case, it is Krondys. Whoever is standing in front of the Krondys statue needs to evoke the boss. The boss will face that way. They need to use a defensive. Res and Disruption Shield are my go-tos for that. And then they take some damage. It'll bounce to any nearby players as well, so if you're the 5th person, maybe don't stand over there. It does have the damage that go to each person, I think, but it's pretty manageable with just one person doing a res and disruption shield. Each statue has its own effect. Krondys is that she spawns 2 crocodiles. They work the same way as the crocodiles earlier in the fight. They are susceptible to Death Mark. They are susceptible to Split Soul. As the screen turns green, do the normal thing, devo them, dodge all these floor tiles. Once your devo runs out, you can reflect the remainder of the screen color thingies. And then if you don't kill it in one cycle, you get a second statue. She goes immune. You can do this solo technically if you get to the correct statue. It's really scary.
I got hit still.
So she'll call out Krondys again, unfortunately for us. However, we only had 200k left, which means that the anti-adren effect of those crocodiles and the autos that they deal really won't affect us if we just burst the boss down. So that is what we opted to do. We said ignore the crocodiles, just do damage. And just like that, we got the kill. So, I hope this can possibly help anyone out there trying to Necro base their 2K attempts. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will answer them. I have a very rough guide of this in PVME in a thread in the Amascut discussion channel that outlines kind of my ability usage and other general tips and tricks. So best of luck everyone on the attempts. Sorry this video was so long. There was a lot to cover. Base takes a lot of damage. Thank your bases. And good luck everyone out there on the 2K kills.